Hi, it's Pastor Jeff, and I am desperately trying to put these videos together so that you might move forward in your relationship with God. For I am certain the same message that God is speaking to my heart, which is the same message He has emphasized in my life for a very long time, which is if you're not moving forward, you are standing still. And if you're standing still, you're in danger of falling back into your old ways. So I'm inviting you today to press forward. And in this case, I want you to look at your life and say, am I just being a survivor? Is my whole life defined by the battles I've been in and how many times I've gotten back up after being knocked down? And are you tired of being knocked down? Then maybe it is time to take your relationship with God more seriously. Seek Him in His Word and seek the answers that will bring healing and bring strength and greater understanding so that you might thrive instead of just hanging on by your fingertips. Why do I speak to this? Because I'm experiencing it right along with you. Jason brought up in Sunday that oftentimes I've called myself the canary in the coal mine, meaning whatever God is having me walk through, you can now prepare because God is going to ask you to walk through something similar. I have been highly blessed and highly favored for a very long time, and I'm very grateful to God for always being in my life and always protecting me. But I have experienced heartache and troubles and have been told to go one direction when I really wanted to go a different direction. I've had to face disappointment, believing that God has set a blessing in my life only to see it not manifest itself. This world is difficult. It is a very broken place. God calls us to remain here because there is still someone who needs to be saved. And if that door were to shut today, then they would be excluded. And before you say, well, they had plenty of time and it's time to get on and I can't deal with this brokenness of this world any longer, well, consider that somebody was willing to stand in the gap for you. And so God is now asking you to stand in the gap for someone else. And that's how we get up every day and do our very best. But this week, we're not looking to just doing our very best and surviving, not just standing, but pressing forward. That's what God is asking of me. And I believe that's what God is asking for everyone who watches this video. Today we're going to look at two very different passages, one from the New Testament, one from the Old Testament, and God is going to demonstrate that He knows what it is to be a victim. And therefore, He knows how to minister to us first as victims and then transform our lives into something greater to where we no longer have to be anchored to that victim mindset. So in the New Testament, we're looking at the Gospel of Luke and a story that we all know called the Good Samaritan. In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed him by on the other side." This is an amazing depiction of what it is to be victimized by this world. And perhaps you can identify, I know I can identify, with we are hurting, we are wounded, we are in pain, and those who should be ministering to us, those who should say they care about us, are the ones that are just passing us by. Now, the interesting thing as we look back to Isaiah 53 is our God knows what it feels like to be wounded and have others passing them by. Look at this description in Isaiah 53 and tell me if you can see a parallel to what the victim from the story of the Good Samaritan experienced and what Jesus experienced. Isaiah 53, verse 3 from the NIV. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. This prophecy of Jesus and what he experienced in his time on earth, what he experienced on the cross, lets us know that Jesus knows what it is to be a victim. And what does that mean for you and I? It means that we can be comforted by one who has gone before us and experienced something even deeper and more damaging than what we've experienced. The heart of compassion, the empathy that our God has for us and for all those who have been victimized, torn apart and left to the side of the road of this world. He knows what that is. Back to the story of the Good Samaritan, we pick it up in verse 33, Luke 10, verse 33. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey and brought him to an inn and took care of him. That's a depiction of what a Savior looks like. When everyone else is passing us by, when everyone else has somewhere else to be, something more important to do, our Savior interrupts everything and says, you are the most important thing, and tending to your wounds takes precedent over everything else. Isn't that who we believe Jesus to be? Now, if we turn back to Isaiah 53, we will see that Jesus not only knows what it is to be a victim, but he is also willing to offer the ultimate sacrifice for our healing and for our well-being, and truly is the one that we've been seeking from the very beginning. Isaiah 53, continuing in 4. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering, yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. Jesus did more than just walk through difficult times and experience wounds. He overcame all things. He did more than survive. Jesus is the definition of thriving. Let's close today by allowing Paul to land the plane, for he hits on exactly what we've been talking about and the power of God and the understanding that comes from the sacrifice of Jesus. We find it in Romans 8, 31 through 32 in the NIV. What then shall we say in response to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? Not only can Jesus empathize with our pain and our suffering, Jesus is our Savior, a much greater Savior than depicted in the story of the Good Samaritan. Jesus, through his pain and suffering, sets us free. I'm grateful that you've made it through this video. I'm grateful that you are continuing to engage in the things of God. I don't have all the answers, but I know that God does. And I am certain we are on the right path to discovering everything that God has for us. We are following the same paths as Paul and all of those who have gone before us, all of those that have stood in the gap for us. They discovered this as well. Those who finished well all learned how to thrive and not just survive.